Hello everyone and welcome back. So this part is I guess let me explain. So this is a weird part of the playthrough in terms of how I'm going to be doing this, but I just did a video where I showed turning in the quests that you get after you defeat Sire Denathrius in the raid, where we then put his sword here in Sinfall and Revendreth, using the light of the Naru that we saved in the Sanguine Depths. We're going to basically have a permanent prison here for him until we can be able to work on getting him back to being a good guy, which is what Renethal's goal is here. But when I turned that quest in, I then got contacted by Bolvar. He then reached out to me and he said, I am beset by dark visions, a power emanating from within Torghast, a familiar sensation, one that I have not felt since. Come to Oribos, do not delay. Now, this is the follow-up, at least I believe this is the follow-up, to what I was referring to in one of the previous parts I showed you when we did the 18 floors of the twisting corridors in Torghast, where we went to go get clues to find out where Anduin is, and then I showed you the cutscene where Sylvanas goes down to have a chat with Anduin to basically tell him her motives as to why she's doing this, and to convince him to join willingly. And I mentioned that I found out that there was a follow-up cutscene to that based on the dialogue in that, I figured it could only get triggered if you have reached that point and you have also beaten Sire Denathrius and turned in the quest that you get when you beat him in the raid. So yeah, that's basically a confirmation that that's how that worked. So, let's check out the follow-up to this, shall we? Also, hold on. Behold, the mount I may never get. That is the mount for somebody who gets gladiator rank in rated PvP. I love the look of that mount, and I'm sad I may never, ever, ever get that. I would love to have that mount so bad, and I'm like, never gonna have that mount.
Malevolence growing, domination rising. No, not again.
I think he knows this pain all too well.
Bromka.
We were speaking with the High Lord when he was struck by a jolt of agony. He said that he could see something stirring in the maw, inside the jailer's tower. The pain seems to be getting worse. We need to find out what he's sensing.
Let honor guide your path.
What happened to Bolvar, Thrall?
What is it, High Lord? What do you sense?
A weapon forged in the fires of Torghast. A Morn Blade is born.
A Morn Blade? Oh no.
Anduin's still captive there. Has something happened to him, Father?
I fear for Anduin as well. But is it safe for the High Lord to peer inside? The toll it takes on him.
There is a price to be paid for communing with that darkness again. But I must see. We all must know.
Focus on the Helm of Domination. I've got your back, Bolvar.
Sire Denathrius has been taken prisoner. What is our plan to recover him?
Every soul has its purpose. Denathrius has fulfilled his. We must forge our next weapon.
He's not ready.
Then a more direct approach is necessary. We have not come this far, only to falter now. You know what must be done.
There she is again. You know, these endless lectures of yours
Have failed to convince you. Regardless, the conversation is over. One way or another, we will have you. So I will offer this one last time. Join our cause, or be made to serve.
What kind of choice is that? Why even give me? It's the choice you never had. Despite all your grand designs, there's still some shred of your mortality haunting you. As if the Banshee Queen hasn't entirely eclipsed the Ranger General.
Don't.
Now I understand why you brought me here. Why you've tried so hard to persuade me. Because if you can get me to let go of hope, you finally can too.
Enough! Submit! You are only making this harder on yourself.
Not harder on me. Right now, you hold all the power. How will you use it?
I've not come this far to falter now.
Then why do you hesitate? Make your choice, Sylvanas Windrunner.
Wow. My goodness. Okay. Once again, I gotta talk about that. Oh my goodness. So you can see why I thought that being Denathrius would trigger this cutscene, because she directly says, Denathrius has been captured, so what do we do? And he's like, well, Denathrius served his purpose. Time to move on. We have a new weapon to make. Remember, this is basically the guy as... Yeah, that's right. I did make that video where I showed you guys the cutscene of what happens when you turn in 50 memories, where you see the Rune Carver's memory of when the jailer basically had him create the Helm of Domination and Frostmourne. Hence, Mournblade. So, that looked like Charlemagne. He has basically taken Charlemagne, Varian's sword, or I guess you could say it's Anduin's sword at this point, but many of us know Charlemagne as the sword that Varian carried along for a long time. They've turned that into the new Mournblade. I guess you could say it's the new Frostmourne, but at the same time, well, maybe you could say it's the... Maybe not. Maybe it's just now its own new thing. Shalamorn. There you go, Shalamorn. Doesn't sound as menacing or terrifying as Frostmourne or Shadowmourn, but anyways. I may call it that until they call it something else. So, I want to know what exactly that was he pulled out of that portal there, that blue crystal that he pulled out to give to that guy from Torghast we see, hammering away at it. It's interesting, the conversation there, what the jailer is implying, that he sees Anduin as his new weapon. Sylvanas thinks he's not ready. That if he's more willing, that he would be better at it. Which I guess makes sense. When you think about the theories that people were talking about, in regards to why it was easier for Death Knight Arthas to be the weapon that the jailer needed wearing the helm as the Lich King instead of Bolvar. Because at that point, Death Knight Arthas was much more willing to wield that helm and be the weapon for the jailer as the Lich King, rather than Bolvar, because Bolvar kept resisting it while he was wearing the helm. He was only using it to keep them in check, not to be a willing weapon. However, it also could be what Anduin was saying there. And I love that this is an interesting dynamic that they are making between Sylvanas and Anduin. That Anduin, I mean, this is very Anduin. Anduin has been this way for a long time, trying to be the one to reach out and be the one who tries to kind of, reach to people. That he would be the one to try and reach out to Sylvanas, to try and persuade her to change her mind, to not go down this route, this path, that even Anduin would be willing to not just immediately hate her or condemn her, that he's still willing to try and reach out to her and trying to turn her, redeem her, give her a chance. Because we know people like Greymane certainly would not give Sylvanas that opportunity. But Anduin would, because he's Anduin. This is I totally expect this from Anduin, that he would do this. And it's interesting how he's thinking in this and figuring it out. That he immediately picked up on that idea that Sylvanas is doing this because she hates that she never got this choice in the first place. She despises that this was never a choice that she willingly made. It was made for her. And that she's actually okay with giving the choice to Anduin. The whole thing of free will. It's interesting that there are a couple of main themes that are coming up throughout this expansion. One is the difference between vengeance and justice. That was something that was brought up in the first cutscene between these two. The second is free will. How much free will do we have we had, and will we have going forward? And this is something that Anduin just brought up. And even brought up before, saying, I thought you believed in free will. And she's like, oh, we've never had free will. But that's going to change. Don't worry. Did you notice that Charlemagne had the hilt that now looked like the Frostmourne hilt? It was basically a monstrous Frankenstein mix and creation of both Charlemagne and Frostmourne. Like Charlemagne the blade with the Frostmourne hilt. They basically took Charlemagne and were like, alright, we're going to kind of make it a bit more Frostmourne-like. Or Shadowmourne-like. Because I've got that weapon. Think about anything else that there was to talk about in regards to that scene. But yeah, it's starting to become obvious that they are certainly trying to see if they can be able to pull off some kind of redemption arc for Sylvanas. And there's a part of me that's like, okay, maybe. And then there's a part of me that's like, no. Because there's a part of me that can't help but think that she doesn't deserve to be redeemed for what she's done. But then there's a part of me that thinks, well, maybe she could be. I don't know. There were people... I mean, this goes back to a couple of other different characters that some people didn't think or want them to be redeemed. Now, Kerrigan is one character that people brought up from StarCraft. I have argued that, the part about how Kerrigan was not someone who willingly did those things back in Brood War, because that wasn't Kerrigan, that was the Queen of Blades, a different persona who was in control. This was proven in StarCraft 2 that it was somebody else in control, and then once we, at the end of Wings of Liberty, cured her of the Queen of Blades, she was back to being herself. She was back to being in control of herself. Now, the thing she did in Heart of the Swarm going forward, that's a whole different debatable topic, but that's why I was one of those who argued that she didn't have to be redeemed because she didn't do those things the Queen of Blades did. But that's a whole different thing. And then I've heard people argue about Illidan, to which I say, did you not... see, the thing is, a lot of people don't know about the complete writing mistake and mishap that happened for Illidan back in Burning Crusade. Some people to this day still don't know that the way Illidan was written as a mustache-twirling villain in Burning Crusade was a literal mistake. They don't know that to this day. They have even admitted this. The writers, Chris Metzen, they have admitted this on record because that also led to them wanting to make sure they didn't make that mistake again for Wrath of the Lich King. Metzen even said, I will make sure that my seal of approval gets on the writing and script of Wrath before we release it so we don't have another mistake like we did with Illidan and Burning Crusade. And that's why they then also tried to fix that with Legion and all that. But I know some players didn't like that because some people actually liked the way he was done in Burning Crusade and thought he didn't have to be redeemed or perhaps shouldn't be redeemed, and yeah, that whole thing. So, I don't know. Let's just say I'm very interested in seeing where they are going with this, where we are actually going to end up, because it's fun for us to theory craft and speculate and such. But at the end of the day, I'm also very interested in seeing where the ending is going, because we have too many times over the years and years and years with these different stories, whether it be in video games, movies, TV shows, or books, whatever, where we find something interesting with the story and we can't wait to see where it goes, and then when we get to the ending and the finale, it's a complete letdown. There's numerous things I could name off here, like Mass Effect 3, or Game of Thrones, like just a couple off the top of my head. And there are numerous others I could name off here, okay? So, I'm very interested in seeing where this is going to end up. I'm obviously very invested in sticking with it, but if Blizz is going to go this way, it better be good. Or it better be interesting. Just, don't make it where by the end of it, I'm going to hate this. I don't want them to do redemption for Sylvanas just for the sake of trying to appeal to all the people who are diehard fans of Sylvanas' character. That should never be your reason for doing something like that. If you're gonna do it where in a way it makes sense to the story and for the character. Like the way they handle it with Kerrigan, I actually liked. But they weren't trying to appeal, really, to Kerrigan fans or such. Some people accuse they were appealing to Zerg fans in Korea. I don't buy that. But we all know about the Sylvanas fanboys and fangirls out there, and many of us thought when they made her War Chief in Legion, that's exactly who they were trying to appeal to. So I'm hoping that if they do go this route, that's not their reason for it, because then I think that's going to actually hurt the quality of the story and the writing about this arc that they possibly are doing here. Don't let me down, Blizz.
I will aid you as best I can.
This is dire, indeed. While his father was missing, I cared for Anduin like a son. To see him like that, at the mercy of Sylvanas. Something must be done. Take a moment. Let me know when you are ready to discuss what comes next.
Much has been asked. More will be required.
So what comes next, Bolvar?
The link has been severed. That is all I can... Wait. Something is...
Bolvar, what is it?
I see.
I will not serve you!
The jailer is tearing into Bolvar's mind. We have to break their connection!
Gosh, this is a callback to Wrath. When the Lich King was doing this to Bolvar back in Wrath.
The way forward will not be easy.
We have to save Bolvar. By peering into the maw, Bolvar drew the jailer's attention. His worst fears have come to pass. You must help me break the link. The fragment of the helm is the key.
Control your power, or it will control you.
You were to herald my coming. Instead, you defied me. A failure, like those who came before you.
Father, resist him! Do not let him win!
Fight, High Lord. We're with you. I will claim what is mine. Death comes for you all.
Hold on, Bolvar! Just a little more!
We stand together against the darkness.
The jailer is gone from my mind. Thank you. You saved me from a darker fate than you could ever know. For that, you will ever have my thanks.
Another 250 anima.
Father!
Well done, Jaina. We nearly lost him.
Though we managed to stop the attack, I fear the danger is far from over.
My thanks to all of you. But Jaina is right. The jailer knows what we saw. He will use that knowledge against us.
We should gather our forces and attack Torghast. Anduin must be freed. You've seen the jailer's armies. We're not ready to launch a full-scale assault. If we follow our hearts and rush in, we could lose everything.
We will work with our allies in Oribos to rally the Covenants. Only with their help do we stand a chance of stopping the jailer and saving Anduin.
More, Walker. Continue your efforts. Explore the dark reaches of Torghast. Fight for the Shadowlands. And when the time comes, we will claim victory.
That, to me, sounds like a tease for a raid in the Maw. Probably in Torghast. I mean, just think about what they just said. That certainly sounds like, alright, bide your time, continue to just do stuff, gear up, do things, continue your efforts, explore Torghast, fight for the Shadowlands, and when the time comes, we will, gather our allies and claim victory. AKA, just keep doing what you're doing until the next raid comes out, which more than likely is going to be in the Maw. In fact, it sounds like the objective of the raid is going to be us going into the Maw or Torghast to find and save Anduin. To which I say, I wonder if the raid boss list for that raid is going to include Sylvanas. Just saying. So, yeah, that's a cool bit there. Also, I can tell you this, a lot of people are already working on getting to Layer 8 of Twisting Corridors because that's how we can get the mount that we can actually use in the Maw. I know, right? It's like, oh my gosh, yes, we can actually use a mount, to which druids are all around laughing at us like, ha ha ha, we've already been doing that since the expansion launched. But yeah. Anyways. Yeah, I'd say we leave Bolvar here to recover after that, and I will probably see you guys after reset for the next chapter for the Covenant campaign, as well as any other new story content that gets released. Stay tuned.